What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fab, Freddie Fox, America's Big Brother, and we live with the Saturday Night Sit Down. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fab, Freddie Fox, America's Big Brother, and we back with the Saturday Night Sit Down. And tonight, I got the honor and pleasure of sitting down with content creator Robert Williams Jr. What's going on, boys?
What's going on, Freddie? Thank you for having me on, man.
No, absolutely, man. Just as I said, it is a true honor for me to have you here, and just even more, like I said, I think the Lord speaks to us in different ways, you know what I mean? There's more and more affirmation that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing with my show. So again, I thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate you.
Not a problem, man. Not a problem at all.
So, the whole reason I started this show, right? Growing up, I went through a lot of, and I think we all have, right? Everybody went through these trials and tribulations trying to figure out how it is to become a man and what it is to be a good person and establish ourselves in adulthood. Um, and seeing all that pain and trauma that I went through, especially when I had my son, really kind of opened my eyes. Like, you know what? I got to teach him how to be a man and how to avoid these pitfalls and really how to understand that. So I thought I'd take it a step further and really reach out to all these young individuals in the next generation and start helping us break these generational curses and all these things. Because also, too, the majority of my friends, my really close friends, their father weren't in the picture for one reason or another. Either they were in jail, they passed away, they walked out, what have you. I mean, through a whole gamut of all those things. And seeing the struggle and things that they had to go through trying to find themselves was very difficult. So by sitting down and speaking with men like yourself to give this next generation positive role models and people with good influences to really lead them on the right path is my ultimate goal, man. So again, thank you for coming here and sharing your knowledge, man.
And thank you for having this platform, man. It's deeply important to have brothers out there they actually care and actually want to do some good and do better, and especially when it comes to the kids, man. So you having this platform and bringing other people on to speak their experiences is totally awesome. So I thank you for having me on.
Awesome, man. So my first question to all the guys here, right, when I have them sit down is really, if you think about it and you look at all the qualities and characteristics, what do you feel are some of the most important ones to have to be a good person or be a good man?
Number one, I would say, is communication.
Mm.
Real communication too, not just being forceful. Us as men, we tend to think that just being strong and being a loud voice, being a loud presence is the way to go to speak to kids, to get them to understand you, so to speak. But I just think that communication, bringing it down a level, speaking to people, like actually communicating the truth, in a lower tone, I think it has been the number one thing, the biggest attribute that I've applied to me, especially with being a father, not just a man, but being a father and speaking to my son, especially getting him to understand things that I'm trying to communicate to him, heart to heart, face to face, just letting you know that, hey, I'm not perfect. I've been through some things in my life, and I just want to see you do a little bit better than what I did. I want to see you be successful in life. So communication, I would say, is the number one thing, because growing up, I had a father who I didn't live with him, for a long time. My father was in the military, and so we lived with him. It was him and my mom when we first grew up. They were married. We traveled a little bit. But and so they split up at the age I was about 5 years old. We went back to New Jersey after traveling with him. But we went back to live with him as teenagers. And his thing was just to be so forceful. And it worked. It was parts of that was good,
Right.
but he needing somebody who could just speak to me, instead of just flexing muscle, was something that I saw that I had to teach my son. And so, like, his whole thing was just being forceful. He was a drill sergeant, and so
Oh, wow.
communication. And I speak to my dad now, and we thank him because there's a portion of us that needed that sternness, that
Absolutely.
speak to us, tell us, don't cut no slack on us, kind of thing. And he did that. But I would take some stuff that what he taught me and apply it to what I do now with my son. But communication. Sorry to be so long-winded with that
No,
answer.
absolutely. No, no.
Communication is the biggest thing that I would say helped me out.
And I think one of your recent posts really shows that because, and I felt it and I seen as a father, seeing the joy in your eyes too when your son was recording your conversations, you know what I mean? And hearing that and going back, I mean, that must have been like, to you just validation, like, you know what, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path with something. So I think that how how did you hear that and how did that really make you feel inside, man? If you could put that into words.
Oh man, it was crazy because like I go on one of the things I was speaking about my father who was a great man. He would have these conversations where he would sit down and just like talk for probably about a whole hour. And I really enjoyed that because it was a side of him that showed us that he actually cared. And
Hmm.
so it's something that I wanted to implement in being a father myself. And so I've seen it work. And so it's something that I've been doing since they've been little, since they've been able to understand language. Uh,
Hmm.
and so, to hear him, he played it one time. Like I was just in the kitchen, I was making a sandwich, and this was the other day. And he plays YouTube videos all the time. And so, like he's playing this one guy, and I'm like, man, this guy is going in. It was about a whole minute before I recognized the voice as being mine. And so when I heard it, first I got a little chuckle off of it. I'm like, oh man, so because my kids are pranksters just like me.
Right.
They record me and then they play me and then they play it later and they're putting like peace signs and all of this stuff behind my head. But it was a conversation. It was a recording that I never heard them play back for me before. And I was going in. I was like really having a moment. So to have him play that and it being a message. At first, I was like, why did you record me?" And he was like, "Dad, like you go in so hard, um, on your lectures is what they call it, lectures, that sometimes we feel like we need to record it because you're really speaking some good stuff to us, and we want to make sure that we get it all. So we
Wow.
record and go back and listen to it. Whether or not that was the truth or not, I don't know. But when he said it and I looked in his eyes, it was like I felt it. And I said, wow, I've never heard that before. And I honestly, I got emotional. It hit me in my,
Absolutely.
because him especially, like there's times, you want to see your sons especially, like you want them to grow up and be men, like you want them to take charge of life and just be responsible and be respectful and take care of yourself. So if you have a family one day, you can implement these things that you learn. And the same thing for my daughter, with her. But my wife is more instrumental when
Hmm.
bringing her up to be a young lady. But for my son, that's on me, right? So
Right, right.
to hear that he actually lived, because there's times I'm sure that you know about and several people know about what's going on. Knowledge, uh, um, like you think that you don't know how much they're hearing you, you know,
Hmm.
and but you don't want to overdose them, because that's something that I learned. My father talked so much, I was like, I'm not going to get all of this stuff. But with technology now, my
Right.
son took it one step further and said, "Yo, I'm gonna listen to this later." So it hit me. It hit me right here, and I was so happy. I said, "I gotta let the people know this right here," because he hit me right here on that.
No, and it's key too, because those talks with your father as a young boy, really stand out. My dad is very I don't want to say antisocial, but what I learned about him, right? He doesn't get everybody his time because he knew that not everybody's worth his time. If he were to sit down and spend time with you, you were important to him.
Right, right.
Because it wouldn't do that with just anybody. And there was a lot of times too, like growing up, I'm watching, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You see Uncle Phil talking to Will and having those deep conversations, or Carl Winslow and all these other dads on TV really having these heart to hearts. And my dad really wasn't one for those, as much as I thought like I would want to, because again, I'm watching these on a weekly basis. You know what I'm saying? Or these shows reruns every day, so you think it's supposed to happen constantly. Um, but I did realize as I got older, there was times, when I would be out because he always try to fake it too. Like I'd be out, running the streets with my friends until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I come through the crib and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you woke me up. I know you was waiting for me, man. Like, don't try to play it. Like, you know what I mean." But it was his way of showing that he cared. And those were the times too, at those 1, 2 o'clock in the mornings and stuff that, he would open up to me about things that I would that really stuck out to me because I never seen that side of him.
Hmm.
On a regular because always, up in his room or, to himself, he's very quiet and all those things. And then we'd have these talks where he would get emotional in a sense where he was really pouring out and letting me know his true feelings and what was going on through his head and and being very very vulnerable, and it made me understand that that was okay to a certain extent because part of me, right, well, I always seen him like, oh, I can't, because we seen that too, right? Like, in the music or in the media, as a dear man, you can't show emotion. You gotta be strong. You don't talk about your feelings. You bottle everything up, you know what I'm saying? And you just keep moving. Like you're supposed to be so stoic and stone faced all the time.
Hmm.
But we're people, you know what I mean? We're still people, and people they feel pain, they cry, they get emotional, they hurt.
Yeah.
So it was very important to see those. So it is like again, those heart to hearts, those conversations really, really resonated with me and made me see I know that I have a deeper relationship with my dad because I know like my sister and my brother, which again, like I don't like to say it this way, he's my half brother because he has a different mind and everything, but that was never the case with our family. We loved him to death, he's around. But I understood that me and my dad, because of I was willing to sit down and listen to him too, because I know some people when they sit down, you want to talk to your kids, they kind of just sit there and just, they're zoned out in their head, they're not
Right.
really paying attention, and you can tell that. But when my dad was, I would really, because I like this is what I do now for a living, I love talking to people, so I would sit and listen and ask him questions and really try to understand where he's coming from, and I think because of that, really helped us grow a much stronger bond than I
Mhm.
think anybody in our family. So I'm
Yeah.
very grateful. And it's important, like you said, with your son. So that's why when I seen that with your son do that, and, my son he's about to be 3 in April. And
Oh,
I
okay.
just hope, he's a little guy, he's a little guy. So
Yeah.
I'm just hoping and praying that I leave that impact on him, like I seen like Tom Brady when he talked about his dad being his hero and all those things. Like, I want to be able to have that kind of impact. But
Yeah.
I also have to learn how to be able to do that too. I mean, I'm growing up and by talking to men like yourselves and seeing different inputs and seeing like, okay, now I know how to maneuver and try to better guide him as best as I possibly can to
Mhm.
be able to have that bond.
That's
So
right.
it's so important. So I like when I seen that with your son, and like, even in the video after post, like I see it in your face and in your eyes, as a dad too, knowing how proud that must have made you feel, and like really let you know that you're on the right path. Like, what, I'm doing good, because
Right.
we're like I said before, one of my podcasts before, being a parent is terrifying.
It is.
It is so scary, especially when you're going through traumas yourself as a child. You don't want to repeat those mistakes for your kids.
Right. Yeah. Look, I tell my kids all the time, or I used to, is that this is new for me too. I never looked at, they have handbooks, they have books that say, parenting, this is what you're supposed to do. I don't read that stuff because
No.
I know that each situation is different. Every
Hmm.
situation is unique and has its own special spin to it. So that's just kind of how I approach life. Like when it comes to me, using my experience to handle a situation and being a leader and being confident, I take on those challenges as they come. So I tell them all the time, like, hey, I only have 2 kids. So yes, I'm the oldest person inside this household, but these things that come up, they're new to me. So let's learn
Hmm.
together. Understand.
Yeah.
Don't try to play it like we're equal. And it took me a while to because I would tell my kids, like I would let them have the floor. I want to know how you're thinking. I want to know how
Hmm.
you feel about these situations. It's not just going to be one sided. Of course, as the parent, I'm going to have the floor for majority of the time, but I want to know how you feel too. And this is something that I didn't get from my dad. Everything was one sided, and so I said, nah, I have to switch that up. So I've cried with my kids. my son especially, like we hug each other. That's something that I wanted him to know, that it's
Hmm.
okay to see men cry. It's okay
Yes.
up,
Yes.
okay to put everything out there, because it starts in home, you know, because and you can, and I tell my son this too. I just really want you to get it. If it doesn't come from me, if I'm not the best one that's putting this message out to you, if I'm not communicating it right to where it's not hitting, that's where they said that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then reach out to someone. As a
Hmm.
father, at the end of the day, I just want to know that you got it. You got it.
Hmm.
So if you had to go to, you know, your uncles, if you had to go to a teacher at school, a guidance counselor, that's all I want, is that is for you to get it. I want you to grow to be a man. I want you to be a young man, experience everything that you have. So crying, holding them and all of that stuff, like I've been there, and it's really a great feeling. I'm a crier anyway, right? I'll cry on you, man, because it's just like life is so short, man. And there's so much to cram in that short amount of time.
Hmm.
It scares you. It scares you sometimes, because you're like, I gotta hurry up and do. I don't want to miss this. I want him to know this. I want him to know that. And time flies so fast that you feel like that you may leave some stuff out. But my son reassured me on that video that they're listening. They may not get it all. They may
Right.
get,
Right.
they may get stuff from here, but he heard some of that you said, and that's all I really want, is that you get some of it, and you know, you grow up to be the best person that you can be, and you know, you can say at the end of the day that I learned something from my dad.
No, and you touched on a couple good points there too, because I know one thing that we all say that too, and I know our parents been there. For starters, right? When I became a parent, I started to understand that my parents were learning how to raise me as I was growing up. It wasn't like they had no platform or any of those things. They were learning as we're going. Because that's what I'm seeing now with my own kids. And also too, like I said it before, like even if my parents or there was like they gave me a play-by-play handbook on everything they did for every situation, my kids are gonna handle it differently because they're different people. So it's not gonna be the same outcome. You
Right?
know, and even like I said, with two kids, my daughter and my son are two totally different personalities.
It was totally
You know what I
different.
mean? Like, so I gotta coach differently to each one and try to adapt to each one differently because they're not gonna respond the same way. And like you said that too, I know we've all been there where our parents would be like, you know, I told you this a million times, but you hear it from somebody else and it just clicks. Like, you know what I mean? But I told you the same thing, but it wasn't, maybe it was a delivery that was a little bit different or something
Exactly.
like that that made me resonate. So I am
Exactly.
a very firm believer in that, and it takes a village. You know, I love that saying. I grew up in like a little cul-de-sac myself too, so and we knew that too. You was doing wrong. All the neighbors had a chance of whipping you behind before you got home to get you right into place. You know what I mean? So it was important to have that community aspect because all of it, like you said about life, right? We can't cram all of life experiences in one lifetime. It's impossible.
It's
But by
impossible.
dealing with other people and understanding their points of views and seeing this, we get to understand life a little bit better and expand and grow because we have different looks and different people's point of views on certain situations.
Hmm.
Um, and then part of growing up, right, and becoming a person, becoming a good man, one has to have very strong morals, right? So for you, what are some of your key morals that you live by on a day-to-day basis?
I would say uh, respect. That's really big on me, on how I feel and how I approach life. Because so much craziness going on in the world. I just firmly feel on being on the good side of that, and so respecting others is something that's near and dear to my heart. Whether or not I receive it back, I try not to um, base how I feel on what I get from other people, because if I did that, like I get so much negative feedback, or if I was to get negative feedback, for me to retaliate with that just means that they won.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna treat you not how I want to be treated. I'm gonna treat you how you want to be treated. Because
The platinum rule, I call that.
right. Because it's just like you said, everybody is different, right? I really consider myself to be tough skinned. Or let me just use my kids as an example. My daughter, my son has tough skin, right? You got to crack him open to really find out how he feels sometimes. My daughter is the opposite. She'll cry on you and all of this stuff. So I can treat her or him a little bit tougher than I treat her because I know that that's his personality. It's still respect, but there's a little bit more that I can give to him. Is like we're still respecting him at the same time, but approaching it differently. I'm kind of messed that up a little bit, but yeah, respect is key because I've seen it work where like it just works wonders, man. If I put respect out to the world, it'll come back to me. So that's one more that I go off of, and just being positive. That's probably the other one. That like it's just respect and positivity, because putting positivity out there to people, in a world that's so crazy, like I mentioned before, is so important because we need more people to, just come out there and put good out to the world. And so my kids, I tell them that, but they already have it. Like I guess they got it from me and my wife because we're the same. We're the same way. Her more than me. If she goes somewhere, if we go out somewhere, she never wants to leave the party. Everybody loves her. Like she really pushes positivity out. Me, I don't know. It could be because I'm from Jersey or how I grew up. I'm a little bit like it takes a little bit more to crack me, but once I'm open, I'm all the way open, and I'll talk more. But I'm not pushing negative. It's just the look that I give off. I guess it's like, okay, this guy doesn't want to be bothered. I've heard this on several different. Nah, it's not that. It's just that you got to get to know me to have me. Put it out there like that. But positivity, yep, respect and positivity are probably the two biggest morals that I apply to my life and I try to push out to people.
Yeah, no, I'm a very, I say that too. I think I'm a very positive person, for the most part. And I understand like you mean that too, because I mean, for myself too, I can definitely be the life of the party. You know what I mean? I'm a very social person.
Mm-hmm.
But also too, like in new environments, I gotta feel the room. And I think I get that from my dad too, to understand like who's really for this vibe or who can feel, you know what I mean? Like because I'm not gonna give out that energy in a place where it's not welcome or where people are gonna reciprocate differently. You know what I mean? They gotta just kind of gauge and feel what's going on before, like you said, we crack open or become that person.
Yeah.
Or again, like I'm a very you feel the vibe of a place. You feel very like I remember going to Venezuela, right, to visit my wife's family out there for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little kind of hesitant because again, it's a whole different environment and stuff, and it's kind of new people that I'm meeting, and her uncle, as soon as I met him, it was just instantaneous like connection, man. Like, he was just such an amazing positive vibe, and I felt that. I just felt at home, and like, he was part of like the people in my family, and just being able to be completely open. So it's important to feel the vibe and feel the room to get to understanding of people. So I definitely understand saying that part of it. Um, and I know, like you talked about a little bit before, because another one of my questions that comes to about our dads, right, and having the impact on that, and how he was, in the military and a drill sergeant and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you said that your parents divorced when you were 5. During that time frame, when from that and to when you got to back to living with him, how was your relationship with him? Do you guys still stay in contact that, or what was that time period for you?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that because I tell people all the time because when they separated and we went back to New Jersey when he was 5 and he went off to do his military thing, he would still call home. He came to visit us, me and my other 2 brothers. I got two. I'm the middle boy. I got an older brother and a younger brother. But he would call. He would come visit maybe once. Sometimes it'd be like every year, once a year. Sometimes it'd be 2 times a year. But he would call. He would call my mom first, right? And so from there, he would pass the phone over to us, and we would just hear his voice. So this is what I tell people all the time. If you're not with the mother of your child, if you don't see the kid like that, just the sound of your voice and letting the kid know that you care can work wonders. Because I felt like just from those conversations, and they would be like 5-minute conversations, and it would be like maybe once every 2 months, it was enough to get me by and saying that my father cares about me. I know who my
Wow.
father is. And so it wasn't deep conversations. It was just, hey boy, yeah, hey, you doing good in school? How you doing on that football field? You working on your jump shot? And my dad was not a sports guy either, right? He couldn't. I saw my dad dribble a basketball once, and I said, you ain't got to take me to play ball no more. But he would ask me about sport because I was really into sports. That was all it took. Some kids need more. Maybe it was my personality to where I felt like this is great right here. I'm living with my mom who's doing an absolute great job, but I just heard my dad's voice, you know. And so, but once we left my mom, which I cried like a baby leaving her, and went to move with him. It was great. I felt like, I don't know. I really didn't want to move with him because I was okay with how things were. And I knew that he was in the military. I didn't want to move on a military base. And he was like one of those, you know, I said he was a drill sergeant. So he really took his military thing serious. So I was already tipped off by my little brother who was already there that, you know, daddy he's a stickler for discipline. And I'm like, oh boy. So we went there, we moved there. And we had like he would try to cram in a bunch of things that he didn't get a chance to do when we were, you know, between the
trying to make up for time.
He was trying to make up for lost time. And so that kind of, I wouldn't say strained the relationship, but it was like we saw that it was not a facade. It was just too much for teenage kids to try to like listen to everything that you're saying and trying to cram in, you know, 8 years of lost time. But he was a great guy. He was a good guy. We knew that he cared. That was enough for me. Luckily for me though, because he had to go to Desert Storm. This was in 1993. And just after 6 months, we had to go back because we were staying with him and my stepmother and her kids. It didn't work out. They sent us back to New Jersey, and so we went back to live with him again once he came back. That lasted for a year, and then we went back to New Jersey again. And but no, it was great that he reached out to us. That was really all we needed to know, that is that he was there. We had male figures, and my grandfather, my older brother was 5 years older than me, and he thought he was my dad. You know, we ripping and running the streets, and he would always come there to, you know, if he smelled alcohol or saw that our eyes were red, he would grab us up. That was great. So that goes back to the whole village thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that time frame that we spent with him was really, really good. It was needed. In some way, shape, or form, it was definitely needed, just to know that, you know, somebody else was in our lives that was a male figure that actually cared for us.
Because I know a lot of guys that I talked to too, whose dad, you know, or they made those promise, I'm gonna come see you, and never showed up, and all those things really let them develop what was, we know, abandonment issues. Mm-hmm. You know, and it always makes me go back to that scene in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, when his dad, and that was just such an impactful scene because so many young men feel that, and it showcased that too, you know, how he tried to like man up, like, oh, you know, I don't need him, and really put on a front to try to hide his feelings, but it was just too much to bear. Yeah. You know, so I think that it's key that, like you said, and I guess that goes to that, like, you didn't really felt like you missed out because he was reaching out and calling you guys every so often, and when he could come in to visit and really being there. So it wasn't like, you know, you're hearing this man on the phone talk about, yeah, I'm gonna come see you and never showing up, or, you know, I'm gonna call you tomorrow and never calling for your bread and all those things. So
right.
I think that's very important, like you said too, that they just try. We don't got to be perfect parents, man, but you got to try. You got to try and do that.
That's right. That's right. Just put an effort out, because we as parents and fathers, we think that the kids really don't see, you know, through whatever's going on with us, right? They see all of that, right? They may not speak on it. They may not see it. Like, I'll tell my dad and my mom stories now that they're blown away. They're like, you remember that? Yeah, you were 8 years old. I remember it. I don't know how, you know, you said or did, and I just remembered it. So it's very important for fathers to, just put some effort out there. Just let them know that you care and you acknowledge being their father, number one,
Right,
and
right.
you want to see them be the best person that they could be in life.
Now, with those times, I know he was, in and out of your life and stuff, but what do you think is one of the biggest things that you learned from your dad?
One of the biggest things that I learned from my dad, I would have to say responsibility. Oh man. Uh like
That
just
was that drill sergeant.
yeah. Just waking up and being where you're supposed to be at the time that you're supposed to be there, and taking ownership. But one thing that I really learned from him, because my dad was kind of like, he's from Trenton, New Jersey, which is kind of a little bit on the hood side, but that wasn't him at all. And so to hear him say, he said to me one time, he said, "Son," and I will never forget. He said, "You have to tell people what you want to." No, he said, if people are bold enough to ask you what they want to ask you, you have to be bold enough to give them the answer that you want to give them. And that came at a time where I was a little bit hesitant. I was non-confrontational. I would just rather, not deal with, stuff that was happening around me, right? So I would just run. And so it was usually coming from, someone who maybe wanted something, or, was asking me for something that I really, I wanted to say no to. So he taught me how to just stand up, stick your chest out. And the first time I did it, I was nervous, and I did it. But after I did it, I couldn't stop, like being like telling people, "Hey, this is how I feel," and it may not be it may not be the answer that you want to hear. You may not like it, but this is me. This is how I'm going to voice this. And if there's backlash from it, it's something that I have to accept. But at least I was honest in telling you how I felt. So um, taking ownership and being responsible, and then just saying how I felt. And this is great because like I said, this is how big his impact was, because we didn't live with him that long. But we were listeners. All of my brothers, we say the same thing. We sit around and we talk to him sometimes. He's in Seattle, Washington right now. Um, but we call him to let him know that, hey, yeah, we didn't see you for a lot, but we saw the work that you put in. And we just want to tell you, thank you. Because him and my mom they're night and day, complete opposite. My mom is a little bit, I got a lot of my mom personality. This is, the TikToks and silly side. That's all of my mom right there. But yeah, we just had to let him know that he did a great job with his boys, and we deeply appreciate him, because we've seen our friends, and our family members, other male family members who didn't have that. So we were deeply appreciative for what he had to display to us.
And when you said that, it made me think of this quote that I heard like about a year ago that really changed my life, because I was just like that too, very scared. I was a people pleaser. You know what I mean? Like, you just
Right.
don't want to make everything. And then I seen this quote, and it like brightened up everything for me. But it goes, you could either say something and mess everything up, or say nothing and mess yourself up.
That's right.
And I realized that a lot of the depression and all the anxiety and the stress that was going on was because I was doing that to myself, because I didn't want to say anything for
Right.
fear of upsetting other people, but it
Yeah.
was destroying me inside in a way that was so toxic and dangerous. And I've been there, like I said, I've contemplated suicide. I had a couple suicide attempts and stuff like that because of that reason. And then I started to realize, it's, you know what? And it brought me back to another thing that my mom would always tell me, because my mom would always say that, I would rather people hate me for who I am than love me for who I'm not.
Wow. Awesome.
And that was another thing that I was like, wow, because she was, you know what? Like, listen, she's so, like they say, no hair on her tongue, whatever. Just brutally honest is what it is. And if you like it, great. If you don't, whatever. But you can't be mad at her because at least you know exactly how she feels and what's going on.
There you
You know what I
go.
mean? Like, so you can't have it both ways. So, that was something that I kind of had trouble growing into, but combining those two quotes and stuff like that really helped me to overcome a lot of things and really better myself and make me a better person for my kids.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't do that, then I would be, putting them at risk, you know what I mean? Endangering them because I was too scared to say something or do something or whatever. That's what, like, I had to do that with my family. Like, they get on me too, because like on holidays and Christmas, being from the Puerto Rican family, they'd be all out and they'd be out to like 1, 2 in the morning partying, and us kids would be sleeping on random people's beds because our parents wanted to be out at the party. So, but that's not me. So like at 6 o'clock, I'm leaving. Like, listen, I'm going home. I was like, what? I was like, my kids got to get into the shower and go to bed. I need to respect their time and respect that too, and respect my sanity. And before I don't think I would have had the gall to say that. And also a big part is that my wife is like that too. She's a huge, huge part of the man that I am today and helping me grow
That's
and become that. Um, and and since I'm on that now, because we were talking about, because I have another show, right, where I do, it's called Fab with Fab, where we're just a bunch of group of guys. We're talking a place to be vulnerable and talk about our feeling and things that help, change our lives and just be really open about things. And we started talking about, our wives. And the majority of us, we've seen that we had women in us who are very supportive. And that's something that I've seen with you and your wife, which is another thing, too, that like another why I connected with you so much is seeing how supportive she is with you and being in those videos and really being a team player. So, how does that make you feel knowing that you have that support, man?
it is awesome. It is really, really awesome. Because let me see if I can get this quote right, and if it applies to this. Because not a wrong quotes. You got me just thinking about great quotes that. But it said that a man marries a woman hoping that she'll never change, and a woman marries. But I'm sorry. I'm gonna get this right. Hold on. A man marries a woman hoping that she'll stay the same, but she doesn't. She grows up. And a woman marries a man hoping that he'll change, but he doesn't. Ah, jack that up. I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna come back to that one on the next show. Don't even worry about it. Years since I've heard that quote, but it was pretty much saying that when I first met my wife, I was into arts. I was rapping. I was writing stuff down. I was into movies and writing scripts. The same thing that I'm doing right now. And so and she would just support me. Like she would say, "Hey, just go out there and just be the best person that you can be in life." My number one supporter. And after 20 years, she has never ever changed. She is my number one supporter. I thank her. I give her credit on that all the time because there's so many times where I speak to other guys and they're like, my wife won't, as it pertains to TikTok. I asked my wife to do a TikTok and she's like, get out of my face. I don't want to be bothered. It's like, wow, I could only imagine now. My wife, people see her on TikToks and it looks like that she's, totally into it. That's not the case all the time. Sometimes it takes some convincing, because she wants her time to do her thing, to watch her shows and reality stuff. But I don't need her to do a TikTok with me to get support from her. She's already given me that, and I am so happy and blessed that that I landed this one because there's so many people who I know that
Hmm.
said, man, I wish I had it like you, and that's just the nature of who she is, and I thank her all the time for that because it's great. But now people are telling her that she's doing so great on these TikToks, helping me out. She wants to help me more and more. So I'm winning and winning right there.
Yeah, no, it is truly amazing because I've been through. I said this to a lot of guys, right? Like you need to find a woman who wants you to do better and be better.
Right.
Who genuinely wants that. I mean, a lot nowadays we've seen that, which which we got to be so careful with all these Instagram models and all these people out there really just trying to hustle to get you for something, you know what I mean, or see what they can get out of you.
Yeah.
And people are not wise enough to see that, you know, or they're intimidated by these women who have strong characters and, you know what they want and just say that, you know what I mean? Because like, oh, I don't want to hear that. But the other part of that coin, you don't want either, bro. You know what I mean? Like somebody who's going to sit there and really manipulate you to no end, you
Yeah.
know? So it's got to be very, very careful. You know, one of my things that, like I said, when I met my wife is that seeing how she had everything together, she was just so independent and really just showing me that she was there for me and my time, you know, not for anything else or a free meal or what she can get out of me or what I could do. You know, she was genuinely just there for me. And doing all these things and like with these shows, right? Like you have your wife with the TikTok. Every time I do one of these episodes, man, before I even post it, that first thing I do is I go to the other room and be like, yo, what you think? Let me get your
Uh,
feedback. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, you know, and she gives me her honest opinion. So she has not missed an episode. You know, she's there religiously watching and encouraging me and things that I need and you know, if I need certain equipment or things like that, or you know, or even boosting me up, you know, because like even for this, right? I was telling my wife because when I reached out to you, you know, when you responded, I was like, oh my God, like I'm so like you know, I got this dude. He's gonna be on my show, man. And he's such a big name, and I mean, she was like, wait, honey, you're a big name, okay? Remember
that,
that. And I said, you know what? You're right. You
there
right,
you
baby.
go.
Like, you know what I mean? And really just, you know, she won't allow me to talk down to myself. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Like, and without hesitation. So that's something that I'm so grateful and proud to have and blessed, you know, just to have somebody like that too. Because again, you know, we only have so much strength to keep pushing ourselves. So it's always good to have that support and really have somebody check you in that manner. So, like I said, you know, seeing your wife in those episodes and doing that was just like another thing. Like, you know, he good, man. He's got a right woman there. You know, so I just wanted to tap in and see how was that for you.
That is awesome, man. Because my favorite words is this. I'm not sure if that shows backwards or not, but that's dream, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So much the word dream is associated with kids. Dream high, aim, dream, just keep dreaming, right? And you know, and then but when reality hits or you get older, it's like your dreams fall apart. I try to be, you know, living proof that you can dream no matter what your age is. You know,
Absolutely.
it may take a supporting cast, i.e., my wife, my kids helping me out with doing this and that, but dreaming starts with you. Like you said that you had some depression going on. You know you were feeling down about yourself and you didn't know you know what was next and this and that. My thing is, you know, and this is a little bit this a gear off of dreaming, is that you know I can fully help someone if I'm taking care of myself first. If my things,
Mhm.
you know, so life isn't perfect. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect man, father, or husband. But me just setting a time aside time to make sure that I'm good. Now I can help and do other things that you know I can do for others. So it starts with you. If you just believe in you first, then you know there's infinite things that go from off of that. So me dreaming is just you know me having the thought of who I want to be in life. You know
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
I like if there's aspirations or goals that I want to reach, you know, with I can't lose sight of that. And if I do, you know, you really have to, you know, find a place because dreaming is just, I mean, we dreamt when we were kids. We were wanted to be this and that. And, you know, we wanted to be basketball players, but reality set in and, you know, you realize you can't dribble with your left hand that good. And you find something else to dream about, but don't just let life deter you into a situation to where you know you can't have aspirations of some kind. Uh,
Right.
so that's what I try to put out to people, man. Is you know take care of yourself. Be you know if you have goals and you know dreams that you want to achieve, make sure that that's in place first, and then when you do, you will see that you know when you speak to your kids, when you speak to your spouse, it feels a little bit different now because you believed in yourself.
Mhm.
And yeah, so yeah, dreaming, man. That'll always be something that I'll, you know, keep in my back pocket because it's really changed my life. You know.
Yeah, no, and it gives you when you dream, it goes kind of something else. It gives you purpose, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I know, like, I reached like a lot of depression like over these last couple of years. You know, I was laid off from a really good paying job. I wasn't feeling very as a provider as I should, and was just eating out on me and all these things. So it just I was so lost and so sad for so long because I didn't have a purpose, you
Hmm.
know. And when all these things clicked with my son, and then, thinking about this podcast, things that I want to do, really was like, now I have a purpose of going on, something that motivates me. Every single week I made that promise to myself, like, listen, I got to do an episode, every single week I got to put some content, I got to do something every single, and not so much for the people out there, which again I do want to help you guys, but it's also therapy for me. It helps me know that I'm doing something, and it's giving me that peace of mind, and, you know what I mean, like that motivation. And then, like I said, situations like this, being able to sit down with you again, just giving me affirmation and things like that, that really just in place. Like, you're doing, just keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? All you
Yeah.
gotta do is just keep going, just keep going. So it goes like that, because I have big dreams of where I want this show to take me and where I want my career to go, and because of that dream, it's given me such purpose,
Yeah.
in my life, that I don't see myself ever stopping. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like you said, with a supporting cast like our wives, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a constant, kick in the butt whenever you start to like slow down a little bit reminder, like, yo, you got this, and it's huge because, again, like, this is the woman you want, we chose to spend our lives with,
Yeah.
and we want to make them the most proud. So, anytime like that where we get that hitting of getting them a little bit disappointed, or not living up to our full potential, knowing how it's gonna affect them, we just can't let that happen.
Right.
So
Right.
so
Motivation.
um
That's the key word that you said, man. Just finding some motivation, and it's amazing, man. When you do get some kind of motivation that springs up from somewhere, like you feel that, you feel it, and it
mhm.
just encourages you to, to push it out in different directions. Like, because I was like, now I'm on this trip where I'm just like on this positivity spill, and I'm hoping to push it out a little bit more to people, because I just feel the difference, when
Yeah.
you find some type of motivation and you start putting it out there. But yeah, definitely shout out to the wives, because I mean, I've been married for 21 years, and she's been the same woman since day one, and I'm truly supportive of what she's helped me with.
Absolutely. And I know you said that about like the whole positivity thing and stuff. And I want to talk to you about your most recent post, because I came across that with the rap video, checking up on your boy. And that was beautiful, man. That is something that we need to do more, because I heard a couple guys talk about that too. You know what I mean? Like, when we would just reach out to one of our homies, like, yo, how you doing, man? What's going on? And they're expecting us to ask for something. It's like, nah, I'm just calling to make sure that you good. Make
Yeah.
sure that you straight. And it's sad that it catches us off guard, and it's so important to have friends like that in our lives. And that's why I do like my other show, to be able to sit down and talk with us and just check in and see what's going on, what's happening. Like, yeah, my episode yesterday, I sat down with a couple of guys, and one of my friends, last year, his wife his girl was pregnant, and they lost a baby at the end. She had something where her intestines didn't grow inside of her, and she passed, even after it was full term. And, that's he was able to talk about that and open up with a group of guys that really, understood, and just let him be vulnerable, and afterwards, he reached out to me. He's like, listen, man, thank you. So I needed that, and it's so important that we do those things, because, you know, a lot, 9 times out of 10, somebody asks, like, I'm all right, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm okay. But
Yeah.
really, we're going through so much pain and stuff like that, that we in a sense want to, but also have that fear that, people aren't going to understand, or they don't care. Because I was stuck with this mentality myself, where it's like, you don't tell your problems to other people, because 80% of them don't care, and 20% are happy you're having them.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? So it's so hard to find.
Oh, somebody posted that the other day. Might have been you. Did you put that in your story or something? That's just something that, I,
No, no, something that I heard a lot, but that's something that goes on all the time.
and it is true. Yeah.
And another thing, when another like, I'm big on quotes and stuff. One of my other favorite quotes by it was Winston Churchill, right? Because it's something that I think all of us as guys and as people, we tend to affect this, right? And it goes, in your 20s, you worry that everybody's talking about you. In your 40s, you stop caring what people think, and when you're 60, you realize nobody cared in the first place.
Wow, that's great.
You know,
Churchill said that?
so huh?
Winston Churchill said that one?
Yeah, yeah, he said that one, and then that one was another eye opener too, because again, like you're always so worried, like, oh, I'm scared to do certain things because of what people might say or think. We ain't that worried about it. They all caught up in their own lives, you know. And we kind of do that to ourselves and check ourselves out, and that also kind of forces us to shut down and not say certain things and speak on. So it's very important, like I said, which I wanted to give you, you know, kudos on that and seeing that, but that was very beautifully done because as men, we need to be able to reach out to each other, right? And know that because just as we're going through and suffering through certain things, you know what I mean? Like, so is the next guy. Because even in that conversation yesterday, you know, turns out that the other two guys that I was talking to, one of them, his wife had two miscarriages. So we understood what that was like and really wasn't able to open up to anybody because, you know, on that time too, we got to be strong for our wives because we don't want to see them because we know that they're suffering, you know, so we can't really feel what we want to feel. You know, so it's important that we find a safe place to be able to discuss that, or even, you know, have people who care about us enough to reach out and say, hey, just talk to me, man. Like, I may not have the answers, but I know just getting it off your chest is gonna make you feel so much better, so much better. So
Absolutely, man. For years, I've been the type of person to just shy away from that type of stuff. You know, trying to let people know, you know, from the outside looking in it, I had everything under control and don't worry.
hmm
But there was a form of me, a sense like that I was really suffering. I knew it, but I didn't want nobody else to know. And so what I realized that it came from somebody who was an elder, someone who was a little bit older than me, that lived something, that communicated something to me that said, you know what, it's okay, brother. You know, you keep doing what you're doing, like everything will be good. You know, you pray and all of this stuff. And so that's where I'm at now. I'm 45 years old, so you know, I'm like I was felt like I was a little bit selfish, you know, for
hmm
years. Like I have so much knowledge and so much experience. Why am I not sharing this? You know, because there may be, you don't know that something that you may say can trigger something with someone else, and you know, you may not be able to reach everybody. You may not even see it. There may be somebody on this show right now that may be like, yo, you know what Freddie just said, man, I'm good to go. Like, wow, he just said that, I'm good. And so just put it out there. Put it out there to the people, to let them know, because we're reaching the age. You say you're 40 now?
now
Or
I'm 35, man. I'm about to be 36.
oh
Yeah,
man, some
yeah,
wisdom with you, brother. Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah.
But no. 35 ain't not that. Yeah, that's not young, man. But I can really hear the passion and you just wanting to put good things out to people, man. So I'm really happy, man, that you invited me on here, man, because you know, it's not a lot of people. I didn't know what you were gonna ask me tonight, and I usually try to, you know, try to get a little bit of, you know, try to find out what it is that you want to ask me so I can brush up on it, because I don't give the best interviews, but I want it to be. I want to start just doing interviews and having people talk to me so I could be, you know, answer them as authentic as I can. So this is awesome, man. You're doing a great job here, man.
No, I appreciate you, man, and thank you for giving that information. I know we winding down here. I got three more questions for you, right?
Hit me up.
Um, the first one is, and like I was going through your page and seeing that thing and seeing the history from you, and you know, and it looks like you appeared in really in just photography and film and all that stuff. How did you make that transition from that to, you know, content creator, TikTok star? Like,
Well, I was actually doing that type of stuff. Well, I wasn't doing it. It was just part of my personality, who I was growing up. I always tell people this story. You know, when I was about 12 years old, I rewrote, or I put lyrics to the Sanford and Son theme song. Dun, 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 dun.
yeah,
Will not say, I know the words to this day. At the age of 12, it was a little raunchy, but I sang it for my cousins, and they will sing that song to me to this, like right now. This is some years later. You remember that song that you wrote? So it's always been like, that was my first parody type of song that I ever did. So it's been a part of me, you know. Just thinking of, I think outside the box. That's number one. And I've always been hesitant and embarrassed, even a little bit, of how I thought. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my
Same
friends
here.
block, they don't want to, you know, everybody's listening to this hip hop, gangster hip hop. This is this is mid 90s. So everybody wants to be like hardcore Timberland boots, army
Mm-hmm.
fatigue. And I would do that too, but behind closed doors, my imagination was running wild. And the only people who knew were the ones who were really close to me, my cousins, my really close friends. But at school and on the block, nobody could know that I was like, I'm thinking about this crazy stuff in my mind. But
Right.
so fast forward, uh, um, I joined the military. My wife bought me a camera before I went to Afghanistan, and
Mm-hmm.
my brother was into graphic designs, and I just wanted to take great pictures and put them on Photoshop and do something great with that. And then that led to me just because I used to rap, and once I felt like I was too old to rap, I picked up a camera and just started doing something because creativity was just it was running through my veins. So that led to doing photography, went to doing filmmaking, and now I'm buying all types of equipment. So I'm creating in some way, shape, or form. COVID-19 comes. This is 2020.
Right. Right.
Coronavirus is running rampant. We had to get shut down. And my daughter is like, I needed something to do because I was doing rap videos for people. I was doing weddings, parties. I was shooting these great videos with my camera, and so I couldn't do that because things got locked down. And my daughter's like, "Hey, I need y'all to help me do this dance on this app." And I'm like, "Play that again?" And she's like, "I said, oh, that kind of remind me of these little goofy things I used to do back in the day." And she said, "It's TikTok." I said, "Put it on my phone." You know how old people are. Put it on my phone. And then she put it on my phone and gave it back to me. And, after asking her how to push, work the features a little bit after 2 weeks, I fell in love with it. And I said, okay, I'm going to sit my cameras down for a little while. And I'm just going to do these TikToks and go back to dreaming of, when I was young, I wanted to be on stage and be Michael Jackson like we all did.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm kind of fulfilling the fantasy or a dream of just wanting to do something funny and goofy and exciting. And I'm happy that it happened because I'm really able to put out to the world another side of me or an old side of me that was just coming back again.
And you know what's funny that you say that too, because something that, and I'll put it out there because I've been kind of this just give me the inspiration and stuff. But I love singing and doing all these things, and I'm like that too, just being funny and silly. My friends know that too, man. My closest friends know that they just look at me like, man, boy, you just crazy, man. Like there's something not right with you, you know what I mean? But out of love, and that's something that I really need to get back out there and really just because I want to show my kids, like for instance, like, I went back to school. When everything happened, I got laid off. I was lucky enough that my job was able to pay for me to go back to school, right? I got so I got one of my, and my number one thing was like, I don't know if my kids want to go to college or not, but I just want to show them that it's possible. So I made sure I went there and I got my degree and show them that if daddy could do it, you could do it.
Awesome.
So I need to do all these things that, if I can do it, I want to encourage them. Because my daughter, like we said, like our kids are sponges. Like my daughter, she's 6, man, and she has an explosive personality. I
Really?
mean, like she is just like wildfire. She'll talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, but like she does. She'll wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and she just be talking and conversing and making jokes all up till like 7:30 at night when we put her to bed. You know,
Yeah.
and
Hopefully she
and
keeps it too, man.
yeah, and I want to encourage her that, what I mean, like to keep her pushing that because I don't want to lose it because that happened to me. I mean, people kind of tell me that, oh, can't do this and do that. And you kind of try to bury it and lose that. So I want to do the opposite and encourage her. As even said, if I remember, I was one here like which really caught me off guard is that because I do these shows, I took her to my show once, to when I did an episode here because she wanted to meet one of the artists that I was interviewing. But I was sitting here the other night and I was editing, my podcast and stuff like that in the audio, and my theme song started playing, and right on cue, I hear in the back of right behind me, hear my daughter. Thanks. Hey, everybody, it's your boy Fab. Thank you. I'm like, wait, hold up, wait. Like, how you know my intro, baby girl? Like, how you like?
Listen, it's how
You know, I mean, the inflections, the tones. I mean, she just nailed it. So I'm just so excited, to do that and continue that. So I got to be able to doing that more, and then getting that out there. So thank you for inspiring me. And as you were talking, man, I do apologize, but I came up with something else that I wanted to ask you because number one, thank you for your service. And I know you was in the military, man. So any veteran out there, man, thank you for going out there, man. As we see now what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, like it's real. So I always make it a point that anytime I see somebody in uniform or anybody that I know who's there, I thank you because without you we wouldn't have our freedoms and what we have out tonight. So appreciate everything you did for us during your time in the military.
Mhm.
But that also made me think of, I remember a while ago, I was thinking about that myself, right, joining the military, and I reached out to one of my cousins, and one of the reasons was because I felt like I lacked discipline, and I was like, I figured maybe going to the military will instill that discipline on me. And my cousin told me, like, because he's a Marine, he's like, if that's the only reason you're going, don't do it.
Right.
So for you, what helped you make that decision? Was it because of your dad being in the military? Was that kind of the influence that for you, or was it like how did that play for you to get involved?
Uh, well, my dad, of course, and my older brother, he ended up joining. He only did 3 years, but um, I really saw I didn't want to go to college. Number one, really wasn't pushed or encouraged to go to college. I moved to Atlantic City with a friend of mine right after high school, Atlantic City, New Jersey. And the plan was to, work in the casinos for the rest of my life. It sounded like something cool to do, just work at the casinos and hanging out with this friend who shall remain nameless if he's which I don't think he is. And people who are on, I see some people who are on, they know exactly who I'm talking about. Knucklehead guy. But he wanted to be a gangster. He wanted to be a gangster, and I didn't. I moved down there with the hopes and the dream of, at the time it was cool to talk about Donald Trump, Atlantic City casinos. So I wanted to meet him and just try to, be a millionaire. That didn't work out. We started getting into some trouble, and I always had the Army career card from career day. For some reason, I kept that in my pocket. I don't know why. And so when we got into a little bit, we like got by, got out of trouble, not locked up or anything, but it was just something that opened my eyes and said, I got to do something. I got to get out of here. And it was the Army. I said, I'll give this guy a call and tell him to get me out of here. I want to have one more summer, and I'll join the military. And I joined and got out several times and finally accumulated 22 years and able to retire at
Wow.
last year. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. 22 years in the military, and it's turned out to be the best decision that I've made because I met my wife. She was in the military. That's how I met her. And so, yeah, I owe a lot to Uncle Sam. Went to war once, went to Korea, but actually, at war one time. Great experience, learned a lot. I had the discipline prior to going.
Right,
I,
right.
my father, I knew about what they call GI parties. If anybody on from in the military, we had GI parties, which is just a big cleaning up everything party. My dad made us do that when we went to live with him. So I felt like I had always had discipline in me. It was just I needed something to do with my life, and so yeah, it was joining the military, and it worked out.
That's
Happy.
awesome. And I'm happy that it worked out for you. I'm happy that everything that's going on for you right now. I mean, I continue to wish you so much success, man. I love your videos. What I mean, I think you're amazing. Especially with I guess I don't know if it's a new route or how you're incorporating more of this positivity and stuff and reaching out because again, it's in line to kind of what I'm doing. So again, continue all that stuff. So as we wind down, I got two simple questions for you. Last ones, right? So number one is, through your whole life up to right now, in your life, what do you think has been the best advice you've received?
Best advice I received. Wow. Ah, it's a good one. received some great advice over the years. I'm trying to narrow them down. Let's say uh, advice. Oh man, I would just say believing in God. Believing in God, because there was a time where I was like, I don't know how real, God was. And so someone coming up to me and saying, "Hey, have you tried praying?" I'm like, "Of course I did. I'm always that's what they tell you to do every time. What's going on, man? Is to pray about it." And so I was like, but they said, keep praying. I said, "Oh, okay." And so from there, I started feeling like, God was starting to speak through me. I'm not a deeply religious man.
Hmm.
Try to be spiritual. I believe in the spirit of God. And so I truly believe now that he's putting some stuff in me to put out to the world. Maybe not in a way that he may want me to, but this is something that tells me that he's speaking through me to put out some stuff. And so, yes, for someone to say, believe, keep on believing, keep on praying, would really work wonders in my life. So that would probably be the biggest one right there, I would have to say.
You know what? And it's wild that you would say that, right? Because um, and again, this is probably just God working in His ways and things like that, and how I put things in line. Because I was watching again, going through the gram and looking at different reels as I do, and looking for different inspirations and stuff. I came across something, and there was this girl talking about how we all know the magical words abracadabra, right?
Mhm.
And again, I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but it made me start to think, right? She said that the words abracadabra stems from Judaism, right? And what it stands for is I will create as I speak. So
Mm,
it's all about manifestation. So when you said about praying and all those things, and it's really not asking about God, for Him to do anything,
mm,
but it's really about creating your own future, right? Putting out the energy in the universe and manifesting what's going to happen in your life. Because and even at like meeting with my wife, I came across she introduced me to the book called The Secret,
mm,
which is all about that, about manifestation, right? And the law of attraction and all those things. And I started to look back and all these things is that, I whatever you think about is really you create your own future. Like I look back in my life and everything up until this point that I really wanted, that I really thought about, that I really, desired to have, I received.
mm.
You know what I mean? Like all because of speaking that, even from her, like I said, I met her in high school and we didn't start dating there, but I knew like I kept her in my mind. I was like, I want to meet her again one day. And years later, now we're married with two kids.
Mm.
I wanted to have two kids. I wanted to have a boy and a girl. I wanted to have my girl first to help with my boy, and I had my girl first, and now I have my son. And so all these things, it's about that. It's abracadabra. I will create as I speak, and that's like I said, a very powerful. When we go to praying, it's not about asking the Lord or stuff like that, is really creating that belief and really creating what you want by speaking it out and putting
Right.
it out in the universe. So it's
Absolutely.
it's 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 key that you said that, and I think that I just had to bring that up as I was connecting the dots, as everything's going on here.
That is awesome, man. That is
Uh,
awesome.
Absolutely. And so my last thing here, my last question for you is, again, with everything that you've gone through and looking at the younger generation, right? Because we're trying to lead them into the right path and really help them grow. What is one piece of advice you would like to offer them?
To believe in yourself. Um, stay the course. Believing in staying the course, because there will be ups and downs along your journey. Confirmation, yes, Shamise. Uh, confirmation. There will be ups and downs along the way, but believing. There will be times where you feel like you don't, you want to give up. You don't want to be bothered, but just understand that that's part of your journey. Is staying the course, staying motivated, reach out. This may be a lot of stuff right here that I'm saying correlates into one thing. To stay the course, believe, reach out. Don't be embarrassed to be different. If you feel like you want to be the guy that want to dance to Michael Jackson in front of people, instead of behind closed doors like I did, um, don't be that guy. I mean, if you decide to, you come out of the room and let your light shine whenever you're ready, but make sure that it's on your time. Don't be embarrassed. Don't listen to negativity. Believe in yourself, and you will work wonders. Because I'm a living testament. It's happened to me, and I'm so glad that I did, because I'm still pushing things out to the world that I've never believed. Like, a lot of people tell me, man, they're like, yo, I can't believe that I didn't know that you were this funny. Always, I don't think that I'm really funny. I have a sense of humor. Just like anybody else, I'm able to quickly come up with a joke, and we grew up cracking jokes on people.
Yeah.
But it's always been in my nature. Like, it's been a part of me. I just didn't want to put it out. That's it. Going back to what I said earlier, I didn't want people to know. I was embarrassed to be, and I thought it was corny.
Right.
You feel it, go ahead and do it. Believe in yourself and put it out there, kids, because you will see a different you. You will feel a light, and you will shine in that light whenever you decide to believe in yourself, and it is awesome.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you for that advice. Thank you so much for your time. And again, I'm so honored and humbled to have you on my show, man. I really appreciate you. Hopefully I get you again for my other one. We can sit down and talk again. But again, continue to do what you do, and I wish you nothing but success, positivity, joy, anything to come your way, man. I wish you just all the best things in the world, my man.
Likewise, Freddie, appreciate you having me on, man. I'm a fan of what you got going on now. I know we recently just started talking, but good luck to you. I'm glad that you have the support that you need, and that you've coming out of your shell, and now you're tackling things that you want to do in this life. We need more brothers like you, and thank you again.
No, I appreciate any time. And well, thank you everybody for watching, man. And tune in for next week at a Saturday Night Sit Down. As always, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, your big brother loves you. Stay blessed.